Imagine this. It's 7 p.m. and you're scrolling through your phone, surrounded by the hum of modern life, notifications, streaming services, and endless to-do lists. Yet, despite all the noise, there's a nagging void inside. Sound familiar? You're not alone. In 2023, a Gallup poll found that 71% of Americans reported feeling dissatisfied with their lives, despite living in an era of unprecedented convenience. Why does modern life, with all its comforts, feel so empty? To answer this, let's turn to the 19th century philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, whose ideas cut through the haze of our digital age like a lightning bolt. Nietzsche famously declared, "God is dead." But this wasn't a celebration or a theological jab. It was a warning. In his 1882 work, The Gay Science, Nietzsche argued that the decline of religious and metaphysical beliefs left humanity without a shared moral compass. For centuries, religion provided meaning, purpose, and a sense of transcendence. But by the 19th century, science and secularism had eroded these foundations. Fast forward to 2025 and we see the results. A world where 1 in 4 adults in the US report having no religious affiliation, according to Pew Research. Without a unifying narrative, we're left to create our own meaning. Sounds liberating, right? But Nietzsche saw a catch. He predicted that this loss would lead to nihilism, the belief that nothing matters. In a 2024 study by the American Psychological Association, 60% of young adults reported feelings of existential dread, a sense that life lacks purpose. Nietzsche called this the abyss, a void where old values no longer hold and new ones haven't yet emerged. Modern life, with its endless distractions, amplifies this. We fill the void with Netflix binges or TikTok scrolls, but these are fleeting escapes, not solutions. Let me tell you about Sarah, a 29-year-old graphic designer I met at a coffee shop in Seattle. She had a solid job, a nice apartment, and 10,000 Instagram followers. On paper, her life was a success. But when we talked, her eyes told a different story. "I feel like I'm just going through the motions," she said. "I have everything I'm supposed to want, but it's like, what's the point?" Sarah's story isn't unique. It's the modern condition. Nietzsche would say she's staring into the abyss, craving something deeper but unsure where to find it. Nietzsche didn't just diagnose the problem. He described its symptoms through a figure he called the last man in Thus Spoke Zarathustra. The last man is the ultimate conformist, someone who seeks comfort, safety, and entertainment above all else. He avoids risk, shuns ambition, and lives for small pleasures. Sound familiar? Look around. Our culture celebrates convenience over courage. In 2022, the average American spent 4.8 hours a day on their phone, according to Statista. We're drowning in instant gratification, from same-day delivery to algorithm-driven content tailored to keep us comfortable. Nietzsche despised the last man because he saw this lifestyle as a betrayal of human potential. He believed humans are capable of greatness, creating art, pushing boundaries, and striving for something beyond themselves. But modern life discourages this. Social media rewards conformity over originality. 68% of Gen Z feel pressure to fit in online, per a 2023 YouGov poll. Work culture often prioritizes productivity over passion. And our obsession with safety, physical, emotional, financial, stifles the risk-taking that fuels growth. Nietzsche would argue that this obsession with comfort is why we feel empty. We've traded the pursuit of greatness for a cozy cage. Back to Sarah. One day she stumbled across Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra in a used bookstore. The line, "You must become who you are," hit her like a thunderbolt. She realized she'd been living as a last man, chasing external validation instead of her own vision. Inspired, she started small. She took a painting class, something she'd always wanted to try but felt was impractical. For the first time in years, she felt alive, creating something that was hers alone. It wasn't about fame or likes, it was about becoming. So how do we escape this emptiness? Nietzsche's answer lies in the will to power, a concept often misunderstood. It's not about dominating others, but about mastering yourself, channeling your energy into creating, striving, and overcoming challenges. Nietzsche believed that meaning isn't found, it's made. In a world without God or absolute truths, we must become our own creators. This is where his idea of the Übermensch comes in, a person who forges their own values and lives authentically, despite the abyss. This sounds daunting, but it's also empowering. Consider this. A 2024 study in Nature found that people who engage in creative activities, like writing, painting, or even gardening, report higher life satisfaction. Why? Because creating aligns us with our potential. Nietzsche would nod approvingly. He'd also point to historical figures like Beethoven, who composed his greatest symphonies while deaf, or Frida Kahlo, who turned pain into art. These weren't people who waited for meaning. They built it. Section 4. Modern traps and Nietzschean solutions. But modern life sets traps that make this hard. Let's break down 3 big ones. With Nietzschean solutions. Distraction overload. We're bombarded with information. 3.7 billion Google searches daily, per 2025 stats. Nietzsche would say this scatters our will to power. Solution. Practice what he called active forgetfulness. Set boundaries. Limit screen time, curate your feeds, and carve out space for deep focus. Sarah, for example, deleted Instagram for a month and used that time to sketch. Comparison culture. Social media fuels envy. 55% of millennials feel inadequate comparing themselves online, says a 2024 Pew study. Nietzsche warned against ressentiment or resentment of others' success. Solution. Focus on your own path. Ask, am I becoming who I want to be? Not, am I better than them? Fear of failure. Our risk-averse culture discourages bold moves. Nietzsche saw failure as essential to growth. His own life was full of setbacks, from chronic illness to rejection. Solution. Embrace what he called amor fati, or love of fate. See every challenge as a chance to grow. Sarah's first paintings were terrible, but she kept going, learning to love the process. By 2025, Sarah's life looked different. She wasn't famous, but she was fulfilled. She'd started a small art collective, hosting local exhibitions. She still had doubts. Nietzsche would say that's part of being human. But she was no longer a last man. She was striving, creating, becoming. Her story shows that Nietzsche's ideas aren't just abstract. They're a roadmap for navigating the emptiness of modern life. So why does modern life feel empty? Nietzsche would say it's because we've lost our anchor, traded greatness for comfort, and forgotten how to create meaning. But the abyss isn't the end. It's an invitation. You don't need to be a genius or a hero to live Nietzsche's way. Start small, pick up a hobby, question your values, take a risk. As Nietzsche wrote, that which does not kill us makes us stronger. In 2025, with the world more connected yet more fragmented than ever, his words ring true. The question isn't why life feels empty, it's what you're going to do about it.